Is it time to leave the UK? It's a question on a lot of people's lips at the moment. In this episode, I'm going to break down all the reasons why I'm not currently happy with the UK and why I potentially don't see a long term future for me here. Welcome back to the Big Lad podcast. I'm your host, George. Now let's get into it. So, first of all, I got this feeling. Well, I've had it for a little while, to be quite honest. And it really has started grinding on me a little bit. You see more and more in the news and social media. And it started maybe about a month or two ago. I was driving back from Devon from seeing my nan back up north, just outside Liverpool. And it was just one of those things that has always annoyed me, and it's traffic on the motorways. I feel like we have one of the worst motorway systems in Europe by far. There's always traffic, and quite often for no reason. So I'd originally woke up, and the drive usually takes 4.5 hours. So you have a stop, it's 5 hours. I woke up and it was over 7 hours. So I was having a look through the maps and there was absolutely no crashes anywhere. It was just traffic for the sake of traffic. So I thought I'm going to wait it off a little bit. Hopefully it dies down a little bit. By the time I left, I think it was on around 5 hours. So still a little bit longer than usual, but obviously not as bad as 7 hours. Once I got on the motorway, we hit the traffic, basically city after city. The main reason was it was a hot day and there was a couple of cars breaking down on the side. And instead of people just getting on with their day, they were too interested in seeing what's going on at the side of the road, slowing down, having a look. And it was literally just cars broken down, overheating. That was it. That really annoyed me because it was just traffic, like I say, for the sake of traffic. People are more bothered about what's going on in other people's lives than they are about themselves and just cracking on, which just, especially on the motorway, it has a knock-on effect. So if you stop, everything else then stops behind you and it's a domino effect. And all of a sudden you're at a standstill. But the thing is, as soon as you got past those cars, you were doing 70 miles an hour again. It was just infuriating. And to add to the roads, you've got the actual road surfaces themselves. We pay road tax every year, and literally, there's just, it's like patchwork on the roads. There's no smooth road surfaces pretty much anywhere in the UK. You look at the M62, I don't know how that got signed off. You look at the M6, which has been getting work done for years. There's no smooth, consistent surface at all, and the amount of road noise you get in the car is crazy. You do wonder how some of these roads actually get signed off, and the amount of money we're all paying towards road tax, car tax, you name it, tax, tax, tax. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I mean, like I say, it's patchwork, so there's little bits and bobs that get done. It's never like a full scale job, unfortunately. And just going into taxes, the UK is one of the highest taxed places in Europe. Now, I've got a little post that I found on Instagram. So it was to take home 120K, which is obviously a significant amount of money, way more than most people will ever earn. But it's basically just showing you that to take home 120,000, you need to earn pre-tax. In Dubai, obviously no tax, it's 120,000. In Hong Kong, 140,000, in China, 160, in the US and Germany, 165, Canada and France, 172,000, and then you get to the UK, which is 205,000. So you earn 205,000, 85,000 pound of that is going straight to tax. And you've got to question what we actually get for that money, because we get taxed all over the place, like I've already mentioned. Road tax, car tax, council tax, and then on top of council tax, for them to take your green bin, you've got to spend another 50 or 60 quid just to pick up another bin. Why is that not included in my council tax to begin with? There's so many different types of tax. Now you're looking at inheritance tax and tax on your pension and things like that. And it's just, you don't see the increase in quality of life for all of this tax. Where is it going? And then you get Rachel Reeves sat there going through the budget and saying there's a £50 billion black hole. And I also saw something the other day that they may be increasing tax 5p on the pound, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is still 5%. It's money going out of your pocket. Now, whether that actually comes out and it happens, who knows? But it's more money coming out of your pocket at the end of the day. What are we getting in return for it? Because they're more than happy to put illegal migrants in our 4-star hotels. I don't even think you can call them illegal migrants anymore, because we are literally picking them up in the middle of the sea, ferrying them back and putting them in some of the best hotels around, and they're getting all the benefits of being a UK citizen. So can you even call them an illegal migrant anymore? They're basically just people that have moved to the UK at this point. For me, an illegal migrant obviously says it in the word. It's illegal, shouldn't be here in the first place. So yeah, they were more than happy to rehome 24,000 Afghans at the cost of 7 billion. So there's more than 10% of that 50%, that 50 billion pound black hole in your budget already. Not to speak about the other illegal migrants, of God knows how many of them that have came over now, just this year alone. And then they had the cheek last year to be trying to take away the winter fuel allowances from pensioners. Now I think that has been reinstated, but it just seems like the country's going backwards, and very soon it's going to be on its arse, especially with what you're seeing in the news these days about what is going on around these migrant hotels and things like that. Not going to get too far into it, but you don't have to look too far to see what's actually going on and what the ramifications of these people coming into the country are doing, and the dangers that they are sort of bringing to our local society. Last year as well, keeping on the thing of tax, the UK had the second highest amount of millionaires leave the country last year at a net of 11,800 people. So that is obviously the net of millionaires leaving and coming in. Doubt there's that many people coming in. But this year we're on track for 16,500 people. So I actually worked it out. So someone on, which is very unlikely, someone on a £1 million salary, paying the usual taxes like we all do. I'm not talking about people that own businesses that get paid in dividends and this, that, and the other. I'm talking someone that gets paid £1 million per year as an employee. They cover the same amount of tax as 86 people on average wage in the UK. So we're talking about 16,500 people. Now, quite a lot of these are going to be people on way more than 1 million. They're going to be business owners. They're going to be things like that. But just to work that out, so 16,500 millionaires leaving times by 86 average people. So that is going to cover the cost of 1.4 million people's tax as a minimum. Like I say, these people are going to be business owners. These are going to be multi-million, maybe even billion-pound businesses that are going to be leaving the country because of the state that it is in. And not only that, the more you tax people, the more these people are going to just get up and leave because they can. They've got the money to do so. They can move the business to a different country. So you've got to start questioning whether it's by design. You've got to start questioning what the end game of the government increase in taxes is, because like I say, these people can just get up and leave. They've got the money to do so. What is the end game? Because like I just said, we're on track to lose 16,500 millionaires this year, which covers 1.4 million people on an average salary. So there's an even bigger hole in your budget. You're just making things worse, not better. So what is the end game? It's not that hard to see that something's not going to be right. There's going to be bigger holes, bigger gaps. So they're going to increase taxes even more and then start to push even lesser wealthy people out. Who knows? But yeah, it's very clear to see that it's just not going to work. I've worked hard pretty much since college. So I've been working since I was 17. I've been paying my taxes since I was 17. But I don't see what I'm getting back for that hard work. I've been in the corporate world for nearly 11 years. What do I get for the money that's coming out of my paycheck every single month? I don't really see it. There's no benefit there to where it's going. I always question it. Like I was saying before, my council tax, I don't really see that getting put to good use. Recently, around mine, they resurfaced the roads, but all they've done is painted them. There was no new surface put down. They literally sprayed it with some black stuff. And then within a week or so, it had all worn off because the cars had drove over it. I have no idea what it was, but obviously that has come out of the local budget. And it seems to be happening quite a lot around here as well. Just the roads getting sprayed black, but there's no new actual surface there. It just seemed to be paint. So who knows what that is actually for. Now, I'm in a fortunate position where I have worked hard. I've got promotions. I earn a fairly decent salary. There's many people in the UK that aren't in that position, whether it's their background, their upbringing, whatever it is. But that doesn't mean that I'm not feeling the cost of living. I can only imagine the effect that it's having on people that earn a lower than average salary. Now, I can only think back to before the lockdowns. In my local pub, before COVID, a pint was £3.50. I was in there a couple of weeks ago. Now that same pint is £6.50, which is almost double the price in 5 years for the exact same pint. And if anything, it actually tastes worse because the pub don't clean the lines properly. But that's a completely different topic. Where does that come from? Like, I'm not getting twice the experience. I'm not on twice the money that I would have been 5 years ago if I'd stayed in the same job. So how does that even compute? Like, that's the only thing. Like, I'm only comparing pints at this point. So never mind your shopping, putting fuel in your car. That's fairly similar. We did get to a point in lockdown where it did stoop under £1, I think, for a litre. It's about £1.30 a litre, depending on where you are in the country. But I don't really have a reference before the lockdowns for sort of my weekly shop or monthly shop or whatever, because I only moved out a couple of years ago. So I've only sort of experienced it. But even in the last 2 years, I've experienced the weekly shop go up in price, maybe 20 to 30%, I would say, which again is crazy. My wage, if I'd have stayed at the same job, would not have gone up by 20 or 30%. You usually get what, if you're lucky, 3 to 5% on your salary each year. So yeah, it's just draining to be in the UK. I did see a poll the other day as well that the UK is the second most depressing place to live behind Afghanistan. How is a place like the UK second to Afghanistan, of all places, like a war-torn country, places that have been literally destroyed by war, terror, bombs, you name it, and we're second in the UK. We're meant to be a first world country, and with that poll alone, does that really sound like a first world country? Not to me. But I feel like my life is being influenced by decisions made by a government that ultimately we have no say on, regardless of who's in office. And I don't feel like my life is in my hands anymore, because no matter who we vote in, they come in saying they're going to do this, that, and the other. And quite often they do the complete opposite. And there's just no accountability to it. Like, for me, if I was in work and I was set targets, if I don't hit those targets, then I wouldn't get like a bonus at the end of the year, or I could potentially be, looking at getting sacked because I've not done what I've set out to do for the year. There might be a disciplinary, who knows, like, depending on how good or bad it is. But considering how bad the government perform against what they come in and say they're going to do, you would, at a normal job, probably be looking at getting sacked. It's just baffling how these people get away with it. And I saw, was it Angela Rayner the other day has been using her son's disability allowance to buy a house? Like, how is this even allowed? And I think there's like 40 grand's worth of stamp duty that she's not paid. Like, how do these people get into these positions and just abuse the power? They're meant to be working for the public, and they're clearly not. They're not doing what they set out that they say they're going to do. So there needs to be some accountability. If they're not on track to hit the targets, then there needs to be some sort of voting system to, get the next person in, because it's just not working. But it really isn't. And it's like, at the moment, I don't have kids, but in the future, I do want kids. I want to be a dad, but I'm looking at it now, like, do I want to bring a child into the world, what I think it's going to be like in the next few years? And I'm starting to think maybe not, like, in the UK. Like, it's really getting to that point where I'm like, would I want to raise a child in what I think the UK is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? I don't think it is. Is it time to move? Maybe. I'm quite fortunate in the fact of the job that I do. It is quite a transferable skill across like countries. And there are potentially options out there, especially to move within the company that I already work for. But other people don't have that opportunity, which, it's tough. And even for me, like, it would be a hard decision. I've obviously got friends, family here. I'm not in any sort of privileged position whatsoever. I'm just fortunate in the line of work that I do that I can transfer that across different countries. But it doesn't mean that it'd make it easy to move. There's obviously still visa applications that you'd have to go through. And also where to move, because quite a lot of the rest of Europe is in a similar position with mass immigration causing massive issues within society. And I'm currently looking at it going, where would I actually want to move? And that is one of the toughest decisions, I think, in terms of, standard of living. Like we were talking before, the taxes, there's places like Dubai where you don't pay any tax, but it's really hot. And yeah, there's a lot of other things that you've got to consider when moving somewhere. Um, I'm not saying it's going to be a definite, but it is definitely something that I am looking at and considering going forwards is just where would it be? Obviously, got the house, so that would have to be sold or rented out. If I wanted to come back, then obviously it'd be an option to come back to. But yeah, it's a very difficult place to be in. I think 2025 in the UK, there's quite a few people that I've actually spoke to have already got further plans than I do in terms of if something happens, they can move within like a month or something. They've got literal plans going forward to actually put into action, whereas I don't. um, but yeah, we'll see. I would love to know your thoughts. Where's your head at with the UK right now? I actually had a little bit of an argument with someone on YouTube, saying that if I was to move, then it would be cowardly and I should stay and fight, not physically fight, but fight for change. But like I said before, no matter who you vote in, there doesn't seem to be any difference. They do not stick to what they say they're going to do, and there is no accountability for it. So you're essentially fighting a losing battle. And to be honest, I think the government are mainly puppets anyway. There's people higher that you will never see the light of day in, the news or anything like that, that are probably a lot more powerful than the people that you see in the government. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a conspiracy. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's a losing battle regardless of who gets voted in. And also, I said to the person that was trying to sort of argue that you could stay here for your whole life and be foolish for doing so because, like I say, you're fighting a losing battle. What are you actually going to do? You know, you only have to look at Germany in the last 2 weeks. I think it's the AfD party are, I think, right wing. Um, and they're against mass immigration, things like that. And within the last 13 days, 7 of them have mysteriously passed away. So, people that go against, what's going on doesn't end well for them quite often. So it is a scary time to be, I imagine, in Germany, especially if you're in that party. But elections are coming up in Germany, and all of a sudden these people are just mysteriously passing away. So yeah, I think the news has been saying it's a coincidence. 7 people in one party that are going against the current regime doesn't seem like a coincidence to me, but who knows? Could be. Very unlikely, but could be. But yeah, it's crazy. I don't think it'd be cowardly to move at all for a better lifestyle. If you can do it, I would not blame you. The way the UK is going right now. That's just my thoughts off the top of my head. Yeah. An interesting time to be in the UK, 2025. Be interesting to look at this one back in, say, a year or two's time, see where we're at. But yeah, like I said, I would love to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the UK right now? Are you happy? Are you looking to move as well? Or have you already moved? If you're on the other side of the world somewhere, have you done it? Let me know. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this one, drop it a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.